Donald Trump, everybody's favorite ex-president, could be coming into some real loot, my friends.
What?
Yeah, you better believe it.
There's never been anything like this.
Oh, my gosh.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
It's not Saudi Arabia, sir, but your Truth Social on the public market may yield you, Donald Trump, $3.5 billion.
What?
Yeah. Well, it's it's a little more complicated than that, and I'd like to explain briefly why it doesn't help him on the bond that he needs to post. So
what?
No, I know. It seems like, wow, he's got $3.5 billion. You know, he'll have that bond money, and he won't even put a dent in the rest of the money that he's going to get. So this social media thing, and to Trump's credit, you know, look, I'm not a Trump fan, as you know, but I'm going to call balls and strikes. The one thing the guy has done really well is worry about his brand. And he has this ability to build this brand. Now, you and I might think it's a damaged brand. We might see him as a lawless moron who's reckless with his verbiage, who is racist, anti-Semitic, who's on the take, who's completely corrupt, who doesn't care about anything but himself. But there are a bunch of other people who don't see life that way. And they see Donald Trump as a billionaire business person who is the best thing for this country, and he talks tough, and he takes down the libs. And those people populate Truth Social. And Truth Social's popularity helped build this brand to the point that they can take it public and make billions of dollars with it. Now, even as I say that, you should know that Truth Social recently has lost a lot of users. So a lot of people who are on the Truth Social network and platform, they're not there anymore. In fact, they're down 26% in the last few months. Still, it's something of value. And as they take it public, that is money that will go to Donald Trump, but it won't go to Donald Trump right away. There are oftentimes provisions, particularly with these startups, that prevent those who are initial stockholders and those who are founders with founder shares and they have big chunks of stock, there are provisions that prevent them essentially from dumping their stock right away. If every founder was going to dump his stock right after the IPO, well, that would just take everything down like a stone. Every single IPO would just sink to the bottom of the ocean. So for that reason, many of these IPOs have the assurance, effectively, that those people with founding shares won't be dumping their stock right away. And similarly here, there will be restrictions on what Trump can actually do.
He has to wait 6 months until he can tap into any of this money.
The approval by shareholders of a merger of Trump's social media platform, Truth Social, with a blank check company is set to more than double Trump's net worth, at least at first glance on paper, right? Because it's a paper fortune. The estimated $3.2 billion windfall they're saying here, this is from MarketWatch, may give Trump all that money from the deal. It could eventually fatten his wallet, to quote from the piece, but it may not come in time to help Trump out of his immediate financial crisis. This is what I was saying. He's going to come up with $464 million bond on Monday, as you know, to appeal the corporate fraud conviction. That was all for misstating the values of his assets for years to get better lending and insurance rates. If he is unable to come up with the money, they're going to, the state of New York begin the process of seizing his assets to cover that huge penalty. Now, his $2.6 billion, his existing fortune, they say, as estimated by Forbes, although David K. Johnston would tell you he doesn't even have $2.6 billion, will trigger even more problems for Trump, who also faces 4 criminal trials. And then it goes on about his trials. But what I wanted to speak to is this. A Trump Media and Technology Group, which operates Trump's social media platform, Truth Social. Stay with me. So we're still talking about Truth Social. They'll take over the stock ticker of this Digital World Acquisition Corporation. All right. This Digital World Acquisition Corporation is a SPAC. A SPAC is a shell company, essentially, that's created before an IPO to allow investors to pour money in, okay? So this new company is going to trade under the ticker of DJT. What a surprise that is.
Who's pouring money into this? I mean, isn't that important to know?
There's never been anything like this.
Well, I mean, it's about to be a public offering. So people who want to be in on the IPO, they are pouring money in. But I mean, you're right if you're suggesting sort of by that question, aren't these Trump's rich right-wing friends? Or just rich friends who want the tax cuts that the guy is all about or whatever, supporters that way.
People from Saudi Arabia, people from other countries. If he wins, is he going to be beholden to people for pouring money into this shell company? What, I mean, does no one care about that?
The regulations around SPACs, you'll have to look. Maybe you can take a look. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing, but it's really designed to give smaller investors a chance to participate, if you will, in companies that will then have an initial public offering. So take a look. But the problem for Trump is that he's not going to be able to touch any of this money from the sale, as you say, for 6 months, and he'll get 60% of the company, which is upward of $3 billion at the current stock price, when the company transfers and the IPO happens. But again, none of that money will be touchable. But it may be the first time he'll be a billionaire. David K. Johnson, I'm sure, would say, enjoy it, Donald. You've never had it before, If he were to get a waiver from the new company's board, allowing him to begin dumping shares before the 6-month period passes, that would allow him to get some money. So the one thing I would say to people is, by traditional means, there shouldn't be any way he'd be able to liquidate this or even collateralize it, because it's an illiquid thing that he has, right? These stock shares. There wouldn't be, by traditional means, any way he could get that money. But I'll remind you, the board that could vote on a waiver for him to allow him to dump some of these shares, that board is populated by who? All the people who love Donald Trump, his rich buddies. So it's possible that he could get a waiver from that board, and that would allow him to turn on a little bit of the spigot and get some of that money to satisfy these bond needs. But you still have to sell that money, sell that stock quickly, or find a bank or insurer who will loan you the money based on that collateralized aspect of this whole thing, and that is that stock from Truth Social. So they have to be okay with that. And that's tricky. It may be overvalued. I mean, it strikes me that it's overvalued. I just told you that the usership is down 26%. I mean, this isn't necessarily the healthiest company. And I'll say one last thing. The company is all Trump. If you lose Trump from Truth Social, it doesn't exist. I mean, Twitter was not, it wasn't mission critical, any one person. You can put Elon Musk in, you can take Elon Musk out, Twitter is still there. I mean, Twitter may be a bad example because he's changed it so much. But my point is simply, Truth Social is about Trump. So without Trump and a loan based on Truth Social shares may not be comfortable with that fact. That's all I'm saying. So any lender may not be cool with that. The price of Digital World stock, again, that's the stock that will then become DJT on the open market, has been closely tied to Trump's political fortunes. Again, this is what I'm getting at. Less to the actual performance of the company. Yeah, no kidding. There is no company. The company loses money, has a small audience, but the stock has shot up nearly 40% since the beginning of the year. Or the price of that Digital World stock, okay? Much of those gains coming after Trump won the New Hampshire primary, putting him on a clear path to securing the Republican nomination for president in this year's election. But in this last week or so, the stock has fluctuated as much as 20% as the merger approval draws near. Truth Social loses money and barely eked out $3.4 million in revenue in the first 9 months of 2023. The money from the merger could also become a target of Letitia James and Trump's assets, right? So there's a lot going on here.
Yep.
It's not a guaranteed bailout for him, as we've talked about the 6 months. Even if he was to get a waiver, it may be hard to dump the stock quickly or to get an insurer or bank to be good with that stock and let that stock be collateral for whatever loan you're getting. And this just in, the Letitia James arm of the law in New York may come after that. So all of those things are in play. Wow. New York City is paying $10 million a day to feed foreign nationals, says Chris. Is that what you get from this, Chris?
And that's applicable because...
Yeah, right. And that's right. I just stopped by. You know, Chris is like a guy driving by and shouting something out the window of his car that's really like, yeah, and you're all a bunch of liberals. Thank you. You ruined this country. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.